Hey all! Today I'm going to teach you how to invest in property and the tools and techniques that you're going to need to start. I'm going to give you a bunch of different things in this video, such as the types of business connections that you're going to need to make, your personal spending and whether you might need to change it, about your available time and how much time it realistically takes to start property investing, about your current knowledge and whether you might need to gain some more, about the types of different property investment strategies that are out there today, learning about your current location and the location to invest that's best for you, how to find a property deal, and finally, how to exit that property deal. These are the exact steps that I took to start my property business, and this video will show you how to implement those exact steps so that you can start a successful property business, retire early, and generate a lot of side income. Now that's quite a lot going on, so I'll be sure to put some timestamps in the description below so that you can find the bits that are most relevant to you. Also, if at any point in this video you find something interesting or gain some knowledge, please drop a like down below and be sure to subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into the video. You'll need to learn what kind of connections that you'll need to start investing. And the first connection that you're going to need is a good law firm to do the conveyancing for you. Some law firms are really good, but some are quite crap. Therefore, I really recommend researching and reading reviews ahead of time so that you can pick the best conveyancer in your local area. The last thing you want to do is select someone that takes 4 to 6 months to process a purchase. You're then going to need numerous different reliable tradesmen. You're going to need a plumber, a tiler, a window guy, a flooring guy, a builder, and maybe even a roofer. Therefore, I really recommend finding some good, reliable, well-reviewed, well-recommended people beforehand and building a team. The last thing you want is to find someone last second that turns out to be a cowboy builder who doesn't do any of the work properly, and he threatens to smash your face in if you don't pay up. Trust me, it happens, and it's not fun. Next up is personal spending. If you want to start property investing, you're going to need to make sure that you've got control of your personal spending and also your saving. You're going to need enough cash saved up for your deposit, some money or a 0% credit card for the refurbishments, and probably also some money set aside in case things go wrong. With property investing, something's bound to go wrong at some point. Maybe the refurbishment's delayed and is taking a little longer and costing a little more than you first thought. Or maybe something in the property breaks and needs to be replaced. Or maybe a tenant leaves and you have to cover the mortgage on your own for a few months with no rent. These things can and will happen, so it's best to be prepared with a little extra cash set aside. To get your personal expenditure in check, I'd really advise having a look at where you spend your money. Download the last 3 to 6 months of bank statements and categorise all of your expenditure for each month. That way you can see where you're spending money on rent and living costs, travel expenditure, food, clothes, and anything else. Have a look at your spending and see if you went way overboard on something and try and cut back on it. If you can cut back on any unnecessary spending, this will help you save more and get to that required deposit faster and faster. It'll also give you a great indication of how much money you need to earn from property investing to be financially free, to enable you to quit your job and invest full time. Thirdly is your current knowledge and how to improve that. How would you rate your current knowledge of property investing? Would you say you're a complete beginner? Or would you say you know a lot about property investing, but you're just yet to pull the trigger? Or maybe even have some properties, you're just wanting to learn a bit more? Make a notebook or a notepad or a list of everything that you know about property investing, and maybe write down some things that you would like to learn more about. If you'd like to build your knowledge some more, I'd recommend that you continue to watch some more of my videos, or watch some other property investment channels such as Meet Kevin and Graham Stephan. Alternatively, drop a comment down below about what kind of videos you'd like me to make in the future. I'll make sure to always make videos that answer your most commonly requested questions. There's a bunch of other great resources out there too, like websites, blogs, and books. I probably wouldn't recommend vastly overinflated sums for property training. There's certainly no need to spend thousands. I personally haven't spent a single penny on property training. I've learned it all from what's available online, other than the cost of electricity to run my laptop. I could probably include that. Next up is your available time. Property investing might seem quite passive, but actually it's quite time consuming, especially at the start. You have to find a property deal, go through the legal process, renovate the property, and find a tenant. But even if you're really busy, there's always a way to find time to invest in property. You'll need to figure out what kind of time you can dedicate to property investing. Will it just be your lunch breaks, or your evenings, or weekends, and maybe even full time? will you be able to do an entire property renovation yourself? Or maybe only some of the bits like painting and decorating? Or will you need to outsource every single little bit of it? You'll need to figure that out beforehand and plan your costs around it. Fifth is deciding on your property investment strategy. There's loads of property investment strategies out there. Some I would recommend and some I wouldn't. You might be able to tell from some of my other videos that I'm fairly risk averse. When I trade stocks, I prefer to invest for the long term rather than day trading or trading penny stocks. It's not necessarily right or wrong, it's just what I like to do. With property investing, I also prefer strategies that are low risk and have worked for a long period of time, such as BRRRR, which is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and BRRS, which is buy, renovate, sell. Alternatively, you could just buy a rental property that's renovated and ready to go. But with this strategy, you're less protected or less insulated if the market falls because you haven't created yourself a nice gap. With BRRRR or BRRS, you're buying a property in a much worse condition than its renovated counterpart. But you can build quite a nice gap because this property might only cost you 10 to 15k to renovate, but you can probably buy it for 40 to 50k less than its modernised counterpart. There are also some strategies that I don't recommend, such as rent to rent, rent to serviced accommodation, lease options, or any of the kind of guru get rich quick strategies. These strategies absolutely can work, but they're very high risk and come with a very low success rate. Just watch some of my other videos on what I think of these strategies, because it can be really easy to fake success and just type something that you want because it can't really be proven. So pick the strategy that's right for you. Maybe you want to do a shorter term flipping strategy because you don't want the long term headache of owning a rental property. But maybe you do want to own a rental property because you want to build an empire and you never want to sell. Just pick what's best for you. If you've enjoyed the video so far, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel and let me know some of your top tips for property investing in the comments below. Another really important tip is learning more about your physical location. I always recommend investing 30 minutes from where you live, because it's really easy to get there if something goes wrong and you know the area really well. For example, let's say if you lived on the south coast of the UK. I definitely wouldn't recommend investing up in Scotland because it's just not feasible to pop up there on your lunch break or in the afternoon. When you live close to a property, it's super easy to drive there after work and take off some damaged tiles or maybe replace a damaged door frame. If your property's up in Scotland or hundreds of miles away, it's just not feasible to pop round there after work, and that can save you hundreds, if not thousands, on the renovations by doing bits yourself. I would definitely focus your investing to towns local to you with good transport links, good schools and good shops. The best way to get good value for money is buying something that you yourself would like to live in. If you buy something with bad transport links and in a not very nice area, you might struggle to get it rented. The best way to learn about your area is to get out and take a look. Go to your local estate agents and ask what the area is like. Or maybe just have a walk around and have a look at the shops and the buildings. Are they covered in spray paint? And are there gangs outside? Pretty quickly you'll be able to learn what are nice areas to invest in and what areas aren't quite as nice. My 7th tip is how to find property deals. I've actually already made a video that shows you what websites you can use and the search criteria that you might want, what turns you away and what to stay away from, and also the things that you should definitely buy. The key thing when finding deals is practice and consistency. Practice finding deals that you'd want to buy. Let's say that based on your current financial situation, you could afford a property between 150 and 200k. So set yourself that as a criteria and start looking. Don't start trying to find deals between 600 or 800k because those just aren't attainable yet. Practice running the numbers. If you do find a property that has that ugly green carpet, or the pink bathtub, or the old broken kitchen from the 70s, go to the sold prices, find some comparables, open your spreadsheet and calculate that profit on that deal. Ideally, you want to be calculating the numbers on at least one property deal every single day. That way you'll get so used to running the numbers, it will be like reading out the alphabet. You'll also start to develop a profit percentage or range in your local area. Let's say a flip in your area usually goes for 20 to 25% profit. That way, when you find a deal with a potential 30% profit, you'll know that's the property you want to buy. I also said that consistency is key, and it absolutely is. I typically look at Rightmove at least twice a day and look at all of the new properties that come on the market in my local area. That way, I can quite easily filter through the properties and know which ones are good deals or not. You'll want to look at how your search criteria is set for this. If there's 60 to 70 properties coming onto the market every single day in your local area, you might need to restrict your search criteria a bit more. Maybe lower the price range or lower the location range. That way you should have some less properties. But obviously if there's only 0 or 1 property coming on the market every single week, you might need to expand your criteria a little bit more. Ideally, you should be able to look through, I don't know, between 2 to 10 different properties that come on the market every single day and be able to run the numbers on them fairly quickly. Finally, is how to exit a property deal. And this kind of coincides with the strategy that you've chosen. Are you going to sell it or are you going to rent it out? Either way, you kind of need to know how much your property is worth and how much it might rent for. To do this, have a look at local comparatives or think about getting a valuation. You will then want to have a look at what mortgages are available or the estate agents that could sell your property. It's best to have an idea ahead of time of who you want to refinance with or who you want to sell your property. You'll need to consider fees and the effort that they'll be putting in. Are they going to move fast? And are they going to value your property appropriately? It all kind of adds up. And the last thing you want is to have a property that you don't know what you're doing with and you haven't got your exit strategy figured out, because you're going to have expensive holding costs and finance costs going on in the background for another 3 or 4 months before you try and decide what you're going to do. If you want to learn more about property investing, then continue to watch some of my other videos. Alternatively, subscribe to the channel and ding the notification bell. That way, you'll be alerted when I upload a new video. Cheers.